Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I need to tell you this story. I think you need to hear it too. Folks have been asking me about what I'm going to do since diversity and inclusion is going away. First of all, I have a PhD in sociology. We sociologists are not one trick ponies. And secondly, diversity is not going away. It is lifelong work and a lifelong commitment. But let me tell you my story. About maybe 25, 27 years ago, my son was in school at La Jolla Country Day. You can look it up. They had courses like drumming from around the world, Eastern drumming, basket weaving from indigenous people. I'm the basket weaving one. I may be making up, but probably not. Probably weaving. There were courses like you would not believe. We went to one. We always did therapy, and we did art therapy, and one evaluator suggested meditation, and so I said, well, back then it was like not everybody was doing it, and I wanted to make sure we were going in properly. And so I said, well, we'll find a place. And she said, no, 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 your school has a meditation club. And I was like, huh? They do? Let me explain something to you. Two things. I'll quickly go through the history. Diversity work was brought out initially in the 50s when affirmative action was taking root and Black folks were starting to work with white folks and other people of color were starting to integrate the workforce. And there was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of racism. There was a lot of hatred and attacks. And so corporate folks said, what are we going to do to ensure that people work together? So they said, the flip side of that coin, racism, is critical thinking, also known as diversity. Of course, it went away quickly because, unfortunately, they didn't rely on the work of scholars to understand it more deeply. And when you understand it from a perspective of human behavior, you realize that it has to come from the individual. The individual has to recognize that I am not reaching across to you in some kind of kumbaya, can't we all get along effort, because if I'm racist, I don't want to do that anyway. You have to understand that diversity improves you. And then it improves the environment and the community and the neighborhoods that you live in. But first, it improves you because the more diverse the environment, the more intelligent, creative, productive are the beings that come from it. So it's not about those people over there. It's about you, person, right there. So anyway, so it was around for a little while, and then it went away because somebody came in and said, wait a minute, what? People getting along? We got to stop this. Because if they start to get along, how are we going to control them? So let's stop this. So then some stuff came about. Racism, sexism started happening in the workplace because more women were rising. That's what was happening in the 80s. Women were rising. And so there were all these attacks against women and pushback and what have you. So they said, what are we going to do? I happen to have been in that meeting. I said, hey, let's do what they did in the 50s and 60s. Bring back diversity. Let's start talking about the flip side of the ism coin, the power of diversity. Well, that worked for a little while. And then it went away because some folks in power said, hey, people getting along too well. Too many women are rising. Let's stop this stuff. And so it went away. And so then it came back with the coronavirus pandemic and the pandemic of the awareness of systemic racism. And they said, what are we going to do? We just watched George Floyd get murdered and we didn't know. We didn't know. Why didn't we not know? Because we did something for 2-3 years and then stopped for 20-30 to go back to what we were doing. And people didn't know because they didn't have the education and they didn't have the awareness and the shame that welled up in people from not knowing. They were ashamed of not knowing. So they went back, they started doing it again. And then some other people came in and they did not go deep and to find the understanding of human behavior. And they started putting in initiatives and things without really checking with the scientists. It was just some business boys decided they're going to make some money off diversity. They did not look like me, by the way. Anyway, so they were, creating these groups and things and businesses and platforms, and no one really understood human behavior and the power of diversity for the individual. They really didn't even understand the power of diversity. And they didn't ask a lot of scholars how to do it properly, what to do, what does it mean, how do we go deep, how do we encourage people to learn more? Because there are some things you should learn in public, some things you should learn in private, because the shame that comes up It allows you to work on it, work on it, work on it, and then come back together to move forward. But nobody understood that. So it's gone away again, so they say. But I'm telling you right now, I'm still working. I'm working in those places where the wealthy know the power of diversity. And you better know it too. I love you. Oh, by the way, if we can keep y'all from sitting down, talking to each other, coming together, because you're in the same room, you work in the same place, but you don't share your cultures, you don't share your thoughts, you don't share your ways. Maybe there's that potluck, but brown people don't go, black people don't go. Anyway, the purpose, the point of being in the rooms is to now share the best of us so that we can all become our best. But I can control you and keep you from doing that, and ever knowing that while y'all are fighting over crumbs, I'm owning the entire cake factory. Come on, people. I love you.